They didn't just lose contact with you, they lost the connection itself. Sometimes people don't realize they've lost someone when the distance first starts. They realize it later. Realizations like this usually don't happen during the obvious moments. A lot of the times, it happens later during a very small moment where it seems like it's almost insignificant to anyone else. Maybe they randomly open up an old conversation. Maybe they hear your name somewhere unexpectedly. Maybe they see you for a second, like a split second, and then something about your energy just feels different. They didn't just lose contact with you, they lost the connection itself. So take a moment, check out these piles, see which one you're drawn to. We have pile 1, we have pile 2, pile 3, or pile 4. Take a moment, take some privacy if you need. I'll meet you in pile 1 first. Otherwise, follow the timestamps below to get to your pile. I'll see you sec. All right, pile 1, welcome in. Okay, this feels intentional. So for this group, the moment this person realized they lost you didn't happen because you said something dramatic. It didn't happen because there was some huge final scene, you know? Not because you made some big announcement. It happened very quietly here with the Knight of Wands and Queen of Wands. So interestingly, in the beginning of the silence, they didn't even notice it still. Feels like it took them a while. They only realized much later. Oh yeah, only when they gave it a different perspective, looking at it differently with the Magician. So for a long time, this person kept telling themselves that the distance between you two was just temporary. And this is Pisces here. That it wasn't that serious. It wasn't anything to worry about. Eventually, one of you would crack. That eventually the connection would just naturally resume. You have Cancer here too. Maybe this person thought you just needed space, you were just unavailable. Empress. I think they just feel like maybe you guys were talking and the convos just fizzled out, the way sometimes that happens. You have Aries here too. Well, but underneath all of those explanations and excuses, there was a little tinge of thought here. They were thinking well, but we're still all good. We're still going to get back together. 10 of Pentacles. This means that, so the 10 of Pentacles and the 4 of Cups suggests that they believe nothing had broken between you guys at this point. And since they believed that, they didn't feel like they had to reach out and connect. See that? 8 of Wands. They didn't feel like they had to. Oh yeah, so they didn't reach out to you because they felt like it was just unsaid, you guys were going to keep going. Yeah, so this person was delaying, waiting, just assuming. They were watching, assuming that door was between you guys was always open. And that's exactly how this person was showing you. They were, it looked like they didn't care. Because the way they were behaving was nothing was wrong, Capricorn here. So one day, there's this teeny tiny moment. Maybe they were just bored, feeling nostalgic. Maybe something like randomly reminded them of you. Or maybe they just had one of those impulses where they like opened up an old chat and they weren't really thinking about it. I guess you were just on their mind subconsciously. And then they start like scrolling and they're scrolling and scrolling. And then they realize, but like, wait, we haven't talked in a while. But at first it's like casual. They're just going through the convos, just looking, rereading stuff, maybe looking at like old pictures sent, maybe like revisiting all of those old memories without really expecting what they weren't really expecting anything. Like it wasn't a reason they were doing it, but then they noticed something. Here's Leo. The last message from you. And they just like tinged for a minute, but they didn't know why. Oh, look at, because sometimes people can't see the obvious. Do you see that? Let me move it down a bit here. So they couldn't see the obvious right away. So they look at the date quickly. Did I mention that's Leo? And they look at how long it's actually been since you guys have talked. And then they finally see it. Look, 6 of arrows. It's been that way for a long time. The last message was yours, not theirs, and it wasn't answered. 9 of Pentacles. It wasn't an unfinished back and forth. It wasn't a recent exchange that slowly faded out. 4 of Pentacles is yours. And it's just been sitting there. And this is where the discomfort starts. They start getting worried. Because that detail faced them to confront something they hadn't really wanted to think about. 6 of Pentacles. Yeah, so you stopped reaching. That's what this says to them. Maybe not like in full-on words, but they're reading between the lines. Ace of Pentacles. You kept reaching. And then you stopped. 9 of arrows. It's you just going into bed. So this is you. You being silent. You just taking space, going to bed when you want, not waiting up for their good night text or anything like that. And then they finally notice it. Because their energy. 7 of Wands. Just so caught up in their own world, just waiting for things to be handed to them, waiting for you to text them first. Like something, and they're realizing that you hold all of this, that you actually held all the cards. You were holding this connection together. And they're like, wait, what if they chose this on purpose? What if this wasn't an accident? What if this wasn't just life getting in the way? They intentionally started avoiding me. With Sagittarius here, they're finally coming to terms right here that you may have pulled back on purpose. You or them could be a Sagittarius. And that's not really something easy for this person to take. You see the sun here? Because that means that they're worried that if the silence was intentional, then the story they've been telling themselves falls apart. And they're like, oh, but I'm not emotional about it. I'm the King of Cups. The story that they're telling themselves that they could come back whenever, they could do whatever they want. The story that like, it was just a quieter couple of months, not broken. They can't tell themselves that story anymore. 3 of Wands, this is them taking a moment to look into the abyss. You see? And they're like, oh no, I was wrong about this. So that's the theme here. This person initially was in denial. You see that? They were trying to soften it to themselves. The 3 of Swords here. They might have been thinking, no, like, that's not even the way it was. They just got distracted. They just got busy. They just forgot. They just assumed that like I was going to respond later. I'm just going to tell them I didn't see the message. But look, the longer they sit with it, the harder it is to stop looking back at the text. You see that? That's them looking back at the texts. Because they're going to start remembering the energy differently. The 9 of Cups here. This person's starting to replay the ending, like the last text over and over in their head. And they're noticing things that like they didn't fully notice before. Ace of Wands. Maybe towards the end, they're like, she wasn't being so like free, talking so freely with me anymore. She was changing. 3 of Arrows. You were still polite, but like less available. You were still present, but not leaning into them the same way you used to. Your effort had already started getting quiet because look, you felt like you were being stabbed in the back here. This is you feeling taken advantage of. And you had kind of like a heartbreak moment, like you did, because you felt like they were taking advantage of you, because this is the equivalent to the 3 of Swords here. And then the 10 of Swords is up all night. Like you already did your grieving of this relationship when they were like just thinking you guys were taking space. Page of Wands. Yeah, so now they're finally realizing it didn't come out of nowhere. I see that. They can't keep lying to themselves. So they start going through your texts more and more. And they're like, shit, I really missed all these signs. 5 of Coins. And they're like, I don't have anyone now. Do you see that? So now this person's having to look directly in the eyes. They're like, I'm sorry. Here, I've got this. That you purposely stepped away. And that realization lands really hard for this person. Because it completely changes everything that they thought. Oh, you had Virgo trying to pop out here. So they're like, wait, like if she was intentionally just taking steps away, it's because she needs space. But like if she's intentionally giving me no contact, intentionally ignoring me, then there's a reason. What did I do wrong? So this person's thinking. So they're super uncomfortable with that. The world. It tells them that at some point you stopped trying to keep the connection alive. Here's Aquarius. Oops. And at some point, whoa, you stopped reaching. Let's see. You stopped holding the thread by yourself. You had these 2 pop out. Yeah. So this is them asking themselves questions. Oh, she has other options. When did this happen? I'm going to bring her something. See that? They might be coming to your house, bringing you things, bringing you gifts, sending you flowers. They might be trying to reach out to you already, this person. You have Gemini here too. The King of Pentacles suggests that they're bringing you offerings like gifts. So this person was actually quite upset about it. So their response to what happened is clinging on harder. See, again, bringing you offerings, trying to get justice. This is Libra. And that's why they feel this regret, because they feel like they really messed up. And it's a bit quieter than that. They're trying to hang on to what they have now, but they feel like they don't have much without you. And sometimes it's just they realize, you know, they were too relaxed and didn't put in the work with you. And now they've lost it. Scorpio. This person assumed that you would always be there. Maybe they believed you were like a permanent person in their life, you know? I think they thought that since you were emotionally, like since you were always consistent in their life, you would continue to be. Ace of Cups here. So that assumption made them lazy in their relationship. It made them slow. It made them believe like there was no real reason to keep trying. Here's Taurus. But now, opening that conversation history and going through it just makes them feel like a fool. You see that? They feel like so much time has passed that they messed up. They start understanding that the risk was you were giving and giving, and they just kept taking. So you're not waiting in the background forever for them. You're moving on with your life. And what unsettles them even more is that this realization implies that, oh, look, painful memories, that you chose the silence. Then maybe you also accepted the loss before they did. Isn't that what I just said? And you grieved at first, and they had no idea you were going through it. You detached first, but they were so blind in their own selfishness, they didn't even notice. And they're just beginning to recognize that now. And that creates this strange like back and forth because they're just getting clear about things and you were already clear about things. So they're feeling the loss now, but you've already made peace with it. So follow us into pile 2 if this resonates with you. We'll see if there's any overlapping messages. We'll meet you there. Bye. Pile 2, welcome. Ooh, this person feels like shocked. So for this group, this person doesn't realize they lost you because of silence first, unlike pile 1. This person realizes they lost you because they actually run into you again or come into contact with you somehow. Brief, and they were like contemplating even going to this place or however they saw you, they were contemplating about even going. It looks really small on the surface, like either a reply or like literally passing in real life. They saw you somewhere, something like that. Look at like Ace of Pentacles, something like that. So what's interesting is the moment itself, like when it happened, doesn't look dramatic to anyone else. Or didn't, I don't think. That's the part. Like from the outside, it looks like completely normal, you know? You're polite, you're calm, you respond. You know, you don't make a big scene, you don't make a conflict, nothing like that. But to this person, something feels super different immediately. You got Libra here. You got Taurus. So it doesn't feel like bad. It was just like unfamiliar. And that's what catches them off guard. Because they may have been expecting like you to give them the silent treatment. Or it to be awkward. Or for it to be like just super weird. But what they weren't really prepared for was you being absent. Like emotionally absent. And that's what this feels like you were. You were not angry, not bitter, not openly hurt, like not expressing your feelings, just absent. Like the closeness they remember was gone. Here's Aquarius. Or like not like it's completely gone. It's just not in an interaction anymore. Like I feel like you were less enthusiastic with something, or like when they invited you out, you're like, no, I'm good. Like, I got to clean my house or something. But I feel like you're very intuitive. Like, I feel like when you're upset, you know, and when you're invested in someone, you're really aware of how they're feeling, of what they're feeling. But this is them being guarded. You were open with them. You were there willing to talk to them. You know, this isn't someone trying not to care. This is you cared about them. And then this person just wasn't leaning in or leaning back. This person notices that you're not leaning in anymore. And then they are having conflicting thoughts with themselves. You see that? Like, so they're not putting it into words. They're not thinking of it consciously, but there's something in their head where they're having inner conflict in their mind, knowing that like something's missing, something's different. The old you isn't showing up. This is Gemini here. This person feels that like their energy, actually like your energy isn't moving towards them. So I think that's the shock in this pile. And that's, you might notice they're going to start pushing towards you. Because this person was kind of assuming that whatever happened between the two of you, like the connection itself still existed. It just, so they thought like, well, as long as we talk again, we're going to feel like the old us again. Like it's fine. That's what this person's thinking. Maybe we'll be a little quieter. Okay. Maybe it'll be awkward at first. That's fine. Maybe like it'll be a little change, a little rough around the edges at first. Maybe she'll get a little feisty with me, but like it's still the same. See this? This is the communication card. This is when the interaction happened, and Temperance comes in. It doesn't feel the same. This is Sagittarius too. Yeah, so it wasn't like a huge thing though. It was just you feeling different. Your energy felt different. And here's Leo. So this is them messaging you, and your response was fine. It was kind. It was just a bit shorter than it used to be, and a bit like colder than it used to be. Not hostile or anything like that, but just not as like lovey, as like warm as it usually is. So you answer, but you don't like pull the conversation forward anymore. Here's Capricorn. You acknowledge, but you don't build on it. You respond, but you don't engage. You don't invite them. You don't go anywhere. Like if they're inviting you out to party or something, you're not going to go. And this person's noticing that. Even if they don't want to, they're like, oh, okay, well, they're not moving every time I give them, you know, like I feel like this person feels like they had you under their thumb. And here's Virgo too. So this person might like run into you in person. Here's Aries. And the exchange might be simple, but it gives them a tower moment here. So it's like a couple words you guys say to each other, a few smiles across the room, nothing dramatic. It's just where they expected, you know, the little light of affection, reflection, maybe like a hug. You didn't do any of that. You're just chilling. You're like, okay, like I gotta go. I'm going over to the store here or whatever. Yeah, you're no longer in that same emotional space with them anymore. Queen of Cups. And that's really hard for this person to process because they may have been relying on a memory of you guys. There's Cancer there too. A memory of like how you guys used to be together. How easy the relationship used to be, how natural you guys went together. You know what I mean? Like how nice it was together, how you didn't have to question it or fight for it. Like you never had to defend it. But now in the present moment, they're having these memories. So they're standing in front of you here and they're like, oh no. Because the reality is that the memory of you and the present you aren't matching anymore. That's what unsettles this person. Because they're being forced to compare the two yous. And they're realizing they took that you for granted before. So when someone loses emotional access to a person, there's a very strange feeling that comes with that. It feels like you're standing at the door of a place that you used to enter naturally and realize it's no longer open for you anymore. But previously it was always open. So maybe it's not locked, aka you're not ignoring them, you're not pushing them away, but you're not like welcoming them in, like, oh, come in, you know? So that's what this person's realizing. Maybe through your tone, maybe through your pacing, maybe through the way that you don't answer their texts anymore. Maybe through the fact that you seem completely okay without them, keeping the interactions brief, not getting real conversations from them. So what really, really gets them here, though, is how unbothered you seem, how unforced it seems, how natural it comes to you to just, what feels like to them, shut them out, cut them out. But you're not. You're just living. Because at least if you were being rude about it, they could think, oh, they're just trying to act like they don't care. They're just trying to act like it doesn't mean anything. Or they still care. Look, I can see it, but behind their mask, I can see it. But that's not the energy they're getting from you. What shocks them is your calm feels real, like it's actually natural, you know? You're not managing yourself around them. You're not suppressing yourself. You've just adjusted yourself emotionally. And that is what makes the realization sink in deeper for them. So for this pile, it was just that one small moment that made such a big truth impossible to deny. They didn't just notice that things had changed between you two. They felt that this connection they remembered was no longer alive in the way they thought it was. And that's the moment they realized they didn't just lose ease with you. They lost the version, the bond that they assumed was still there. Follow us into pile 3. We'll see if we can get you some more answers. We'll meet you there. Bye. Pile 3, welcome. For this group, this person doesn't realize they've lost you because of no contact or the silent treatment. And they don't realize it because of one interaction, like pile 2, and then no contact, like pile 1. This realization is a bit different for them. This happens because they start noticing something about you. Do you see that? You had the High Priestess come out first. Scorpio, your life just kept moving on without them. And that may sound like obvious, but like, because of course people's lives move forward. But this person really thought you were hung up on them. This person had just assumed that indefinitely you would be orbiting around them, you know? They assumed that even though things were getting weird, things would always be connected with you too, you know? Just maybe quiet, not what it used to be, just different. And you have Capricorn there too. So you might still be present there. And they believe that they didn't really stop to question what your life looked like, what you had going on either, or that you could live without them. They didn't picture you fully reorganizing your world without them. Yeah. They didn't picture you shifting your focus, changing your focus here. In their mind, the connection always existed. And like nothing could replace it. And it was like always something they believed could come back around, you know? And that made them super comfortable for a long time. Because when people believe a connection is still emotionally alive, here's Libra, they don't have to fully face the loss of it, you know? So this, you can just keep the idea of it sitting in their mind here. So did I mention you have Scorpio, Capricorn, and Libra? This person thought that this relationship was indefinitely good, you know? But then something happens. Here's Gemini and Cancer. So this person heard something, noticed something, saw something, and then that moment started going over and over in their head. You have Aries here too. This person saw something online. Yeah, there was like a Facebook, like some post on something, social media, picture, a glimpse like about what you're doing now, something you're working on, or the way you look now. Or they hear about you through someone else. Here's Aquarius. Someone just casually mentions about your life and how you're growing and how you're doing all these big things or looking different. They might find out about new plans, new routines, maybe like gym, goals. And at first they're like, okay. It didn't like really bother them at first, but they were like, okay, that's weird, but okay. But on the surface, it looked like just normal, like hobbies. People start new things all the time, right? People grow, people change, people want to get in shape, people want to dye their hair. But this person slowly starts realizing is that the way you're moving through life now doesn't include them, because they assumed you guys were still together. See that? You assumed you were part of their world. And that realization, you can see here, grew gradually because they were naive, minding their business, and then their world was switching to like shit. So they see that you're putting effort into something very meaningful, something that's taking your time, taking your attention, and it's not revolved around them. They might even notice like new friendships that you're building and getting worried about those. And then obviously new routines too. Judgment here. So this person's starting to see evidence that like your energy's invested somewhere else. Here's Virgo here. It doesn't have to be in another person, but it could be. But it could also just be something you're doing. And that's when their realization starts coming into play for them. You didn't stay like tied to what happened between you two. You didn't keep your life, wrapped around them. Like after, I think they were expecting once you guys slowed down on chatting or whatever, that you would have this big tower moment. So this person starts understanding things. While they were still thinking about the connection as unfinished, see this, Empress, you were already moving on. Sagittarius, you already felt the loss of it. You were already just like learning how to live without the connection. Because to you, it felt like it was already over because they weren't putting in effort. And they're realizing, why can't I move on from you now? That's what they're wondering now. So this happened over a bunch of little teeny moments. But this person was like looking at one little glimpse of your life, and then they noticed another glimpse, and then another, and another, and they're like, oh. In each little glimpse, it becomes more obvious. You're not living as if someone or something important is missing from your life anymore, or at all. You're living as if your life continues. And that's when the delayed realization starts setting in for them. Because they are starting to understand that the connection they thought was still there, was unbreakable, was something they may have been like holding on to alone. They didn't realize that it was over. This person assumed they were still this like highway between the two of you. And the thing is your life is suggesting something else when I look at your cards here. That, oh look, Leo was trying to pop out here. That bridge, that highway between you guys was already crashing down the moment they made you feel like you weren't a priority. And they're just realizing it now, but it's like a little too late. The Hierophant. This is Taurus. Because this person didn't experience like a clear ending, but neither did you. When you felt like you weren't, important to them or part of their life, then you pulled away and you started grieving. You had your tower moment. But this person didn't notice it till it was too late. And here's Pisces here. So now they're seeing what life looks like after you've moved forward. And there's nothing they can do about it. See that King of Swords? There's nothing they can do. So that's what makes the realization feel so powerful to them. So the more that they started observing that pull away from you, even though you were already pulled away, you were detached, they couldn't deny it anymore. Even though it was a little too late, they were just noticing you weren't emotionally tied to them anymore. You were moving forward. And that movement is what finally makes them understand the reality of this, the severity of this. They didn't just lose contact with you. They lost the moment when the connection could have still been revived. Like you guys could have worked on things, but they took too long to recognize what was happening. And by the time they recognized it, you had already moved on with your life. So follow us into pile 4 if you'd like, and we can see if there's any overlapping messages for you. We'll see you there in a moment. Bye. Pile 4, welcome. For this group, it feels like this person doesn't first realize they lost you through the silent treatment like pile 1, or an encounter like pile 2, or a conversation like pile 3. This realization happens through them comparing something. And the comparison begins when they see someone else interacting with you. Maybe it's a social situation or online or in a group chat or just the way someone talks about you. But something about that moment stands out. Someone else is noticing your value, noticing how great you are. And that's when the realization starts to form for them. I got Leo here. Because for a long time, it looks like this person, looks like they may have taken you for granted a little bit. Okay, that's what this looks like. I'm just saying. It doesn't look intentional though, or in like trying to be mean, but familiarity can do something strange to people, When someone's consistently present, here's Aquarius, present in their life, that presence can just feel ordinary, like just normal. 6 of Wands. You've got Libra here too. Their intentions start to feel automatic too. So when something's expected, though, people don't always stop to recognize how meaningful it is, you know? Here's Aries, King of Pentacles. That's part of like what happened here, you know? The world. Your presence became normal to them. Your attention became normal. Oh, look at that. Your amenities, your effort, your thoughts became normal. And because it felt normal to them, they didn't always stop to fully appreciate it or return the favor. Oops, the wheel. But now they're witnessing something in the real world, in the wheel world. They're watching someone else, sitting there, watching. And they're noticing that someone else is appreciating those same qualities. Someone's laughing at what you said, you know? Listening closely when you're speaking. Just staring at you from a room afar. And they're witnessing someone treat you with very, very clear respect. Maybe someone seems genuinely impressed or interested in you. And in that moment, the King of Cups comes out. Something changes in them, in their perception of you. And they start seeing you through a different set of eyes. Here's Pisces here. They start noticing. Oh, look, Cancer wanted to come out. And Taurus wanted to come out. So this is them noticing that person was, how that person was reacting to you. And it was something that they had slowly stopped noticing. Here's also Sagittarius. This is them noticing your value. But it took seeing someone else listening to you carefully, like, and them witnessing it. It took them seeing someone else light up when you talk for them to notice. Okay. Here's Scorpio. This is someone noticing someone else noticing the details about you, those little details. And they're like, oh no, I fucked up, is what they're thinking. Here's Virgo, 10 of Pentacles here. Okay, so this is reminding, oh look, Gemini. This is reminding them how you used to show up for them, how you used to be that person for them. And now they don't get that anymore. The way you would listen to them like this, and they're like, well, she doesn't look at me like that anymore. He doesn't look at me like that anymore. You know? Got Capricorn here. She doesn't listen that intently to my stories anymore. And you're showing interest in those other people's thoughts. You gave them your time, but now you don't have time for this person. And you were like present for them. Made them feel understood, you know? And now, all they can do is witness you do that with someone else. Ouchies. So your 3 of Cups, that just confirms again that that's you giving this attention, this way of attention to someone else. So this person begins realizing that those qualities they got from you are now being given to other people, or at least recognized by someone else. And that realization can be very uncomfortable because it forces them to look at the past from a different angle. It pushes them to ask themselves questions like, I don't know, I'm hearing things like, did I appreciate her enough when I had her? Did I really push away everything she tried to offer me? Did I ignore her texts too often? Why is this other guy getting it? You know, these are the thoughts I'm hearing. Yeah. Realizing they messed up. Because watching someone else value you creates I don't know, a bit of FOMO. And FOMO has a way of revealing things that like habits and just familiarity used to. There was just like moments where you showed up for them and you supported them and they took it for granted. You gave them attention and care and took care of them and may have taken care of them when they hurt themselves or something like this. And now those memories feel different to them. Like they're really realizing that they took it for granted. They feel even more meaningful now, though. I can't let go of you. And now that's where the comparisons are happening. So they're seeing all of your qualities through like someone else, you know? So someone's complimenting you, someone's admiring you. Someone respects your perspective on things, you know? So hearing those things can create a strange realization for someone. Those are the same qualities that they once experienced from you. But at the time, they may not have realized how rare those qualities were. They may have assumed they would always have access to them. And that is the assumption that made this realization happen, because they're starting to understand something. Your qualities didn't disappear. They didn't reappear. They just are being offered to other people. And now someone else is noticing them. Someone else is appreciating them. Someone else is experiencing them. That presence that once existed between you and them makes the loss feel much more gone. You didn't lose your value. The connection just lost access to it. So thank you so much for spending your energy with me. I'll see you in the next reading. Bye.